Steel Curtain Network.
Touchdown! Touchdown para Calvin Austin! El Monte Washington es arma. ¿Quién más? ¿Quién más? DJ Watt!
What is going on, Pittsburgh Steelers fans, and welcome back to another episode of the Steelers Preview. I'm Jeff Hartman, joined by Dave Schofield and Bryan Davis as we preview the Week 4 game in Dublin against the Minnesota Vikings. Dave, what's up? How's it going?
It's going. We're going to get to experience what the West Coast gets to experience a whole lot of times during the season, but this will be our first time doing this with a 9:30 kickoff. Big matchup, very interesting teams. Let's get to it.
Bryan, welcome. What's up?
Oh, I am thrilled and so glad to be here, guys. But Dave hit it on the head because I've been to Los Angeles a few times. I've been to San Francisco. I've been out there having to watch games at 10 o'clock in the morning. I absolutely love it because then you get some of your day back. And so it feels like this coming Sunday, especially if they win the game, then you have the rest of the day. You're like, all right.
Well, for me, as a really big golfer, like this is the perfect thing to ever happen because it's going to be done at 1. The Sunday singles of the Ryder Cup go off at 12. I'll be able to sit back after the post-game show, do my work, and watch, hopefully, the U.S. dominate the European team. But that's neither here nor there. This is a golf show.
Did you listen to Pittsburgh Standard Time this morning?
I listened to all of our
because that's exactly what I was saying. I'm like,
yes.
I think it's going to be.
Well, this whole weekend
yeah.
is an amazing sports weekend with the Ryder Cup going on. Major League Baseball wraps up on Sunday. I think all 30 teams are going to be playing. Great college football matchups. NFL is going to have the full slate of games. It's a great time to be a sports fan, I'll tell you that. But we're going to talk singularly about the Steelers and Vikings, and this is a game that's interesting to me. You know, I had David Stefano, God bless his soul, went on 2 shows this week on our network. He was with me on Wednesday behind enemy lines. He also joined the Pump Your Brakes crew last night. And he talks like this game, unless the Vikings cough it up, is over before it even starts. And that's fine. He can have all the confidence in the world. What do you guys think about this matchup? It's an interconference game. It's weird. You look at the numbers. There are some numbers that tell me that maybe this Vikings team isn't the dominant force that some are thinking. Dave, what's your take? What's your gut reaction?
Yeah, I'm going to say this. Beware the game where you think you get it all right because you scored a bunch of points on the Cincinnati Bengals defense. Because that pretty much sums up the 2024 Steelers. Because, they put up.
I didn't even think of that.
They put up all those points on the Bengals. Oh, look at this team. Look out. Then they got one more win for the rest of the season. So thinking that you've got it all right just because you can do something against the Bengals defense is very, very sketchy. Then to also think that you're doing something great because you're not having problems with the Bengals offensive line. Yeah, we understand that one too. That pretty much you're looking at Joe Burrow and his weapons. That's what you're getting for the Bengals, and they didn't even have to do that. So, do I think the Vikings are a good team? I do. But do I think they are nearly as unstoppable as they looked like they were this past Sunday? I do not.
What's your take, Bryan? What's your gut reaction to this one?
Well, I got to tell you, Dave has become a very good friend of mine. Stefano, that is, Schofield has always been a good friend of mine. And Dave was also talking about how that Monday night affair or Sunday night affair against Atlanta was just going to how the Vikings were going to crush Atlanta. And that did not happen. And that was just a week and a half ago. So I'm kind of skeptical on that. I do shows with him. He is on the Fans First Sports Show with me. He wanted to make sure that I traded up. I wasn't supposed to be on this week, but he wants to be on. This was a couple weeks ago to taunt me after the Vikings win. So I just sit back and say, okay. And so I'm hoping, but I think the Vikings are going to be very tough. In fact, that might come out in my predictions. I'm not completely there yet. I'll be there in a half an hour. But I really think that this Vikings team on defense is solid, but who knows how to exploit them better than Aaron Rodgers?
Yes, and for as strong as their defense is, there's offensive weaknesses and some would say ineptitude on the Vikings side of things. But it's really difficult to gauge even after 3 weeks because, well, J.J. McCarthy was the quarterback in weeks 1 and 2. and then Carson Wentz takes over, and he's going to be playing in weeks 3 and now week 4. Dave, what's your take about their quarterback situation? Do you now look back and say, I wish J.J. McCarthy was playing?
Oh, I messaged that to Dave Stefano this week when I was asking him about when the Vikings were leaving. This is before the news came out that the Steelers weren't allowed to leave any earlier than what they did.
Both teams are leaving at the same time.
Exactly.
They're both leaving Thursday, yes.
Yeah, it's almost like the NFL realized there's a bigger advantage there, so they won't let teams do it. I don't know if that was why or not. And think about it. The Vikings couldn't have left any earlier. They're going to be there all next week. So I get them doing what they're doing. But anyway, I was messaging with Dave Stefano and said, I really wish it was McCarthy you were going up against. Not that he's a bad quarterback, but you'd be talking about a guy that would be making his 3rd or 4th NFL start.
Right.
That's even though he could be their better option, whether he is now or eventually, I would much rather go up against the inexperience. But you also got to remember at times, and this was something that I've said before, remember how sometimes you could catch that backup veteran lightning in a bottle for a game or 2 even, and then all of a sudden it all comes crashing down once tape and everything's out there on them, and it's not quite as great. They can give you that spark for a little bit, but it doesn't really last a long time. I also look at it that way. Carson Wentz came in, and hadn't seen Carson Wentz in a purple uniform in any real capacity before. So now that you have for a game, is it going to be that spark that it was, or is it going to be okay? Will the real Carson Wentz please stand up?
What is the real Carson Wentz? I don't even know.
Good question.
I mean, he was great early in his career with the Eagles. Some said he was all-pro, potentially, MVP numbers that one year before he hurts his knee, and he never really reclaims that form. Bryan, what's your take on the Vikings quarterback situation?
Well, here's the thing. If it's in there, it's in there, and you could always find some spark. So Dave's right, though. Flacco came in that first game last year, halfway through the Colts game in week 4, and the Steelers were definitely not ready for it. And they were planning for Anthony Richardson, and Joe Flacco, I don't want to say lulled them to sleep, but I think that's what happened because the Steelers defense went to sleep and Flacco went crazy. So Wentz, the same thing, but they're preparing for Wentz this week, and that's a good thing to know. I do not think J.J. McCarthy is worth the hype. So I'm like Dave, I would have rather had J.J. McCarthy there. Wentz is a big, strong quarterback, but you're not getting the scrambling that you would have got with McCarthy. And the Drake, if you go back 1 week, Drake May killed them with the scrambling and being able to get out of trouble and get first downs. You're not going to have that same thing with a Carson Wentz. So that's a good thing to know there.
Drake May led the rushing attack for the Patriots last week.
Yeah.
I think he had the most rushing yards, I think like 45. So that's an interesting point. All right. Before we get too much into the minutia of this upcoming matchup, we will have to start with injuries. We always have to start with injuries because really there's so much that is hinging on who is available and who isn't, especially for the Steelers. So, Dave, I know the Steelers report's out. I'm not sure about the Vikings, but we know the Steelers is. Okay, why don't you go ahead and read us the Steelers injury report as of Thursday?
Okay, let's clear the field with rest due to no injury. That was DK Metcalf on Thursday. That was Darius Slay on Wednesday, but back to full on Thursday. I'm not talking about guys that then had an injury designation added later, which we'll get to those. I'm talking about Isaac Seumalo, who rested Wednesday, back on Thursday. And then TJ Watt and Cam Hayward resting both Wednesday and Thursday. Now, there was 2 other players that had rest. On Wednesday, Jaylen Warren was limited with rest, and Thursday he was limited with rest/knee. Jonnu Smith didn't practice because of rest on Wednesday, but on Thursday was rest/hip being limited. Then, of course, Alex Highsmith did not practice with his ankle injury. He's already been ruled out. And then Patrick Queen was limited due to his oblique on Wednesday, but was full on Thursday. But the ones everyone wants to know about, Joey Porter Jr., Deshaun Elliott, limited on Wednesday, limited on Thursday. I was talking to my brother this evening, or just before I came on the show, and he's like, oh, that's not good. I'm like, remember, last week Hartman went limited, and then he was full on Friday. And the Steelers are practicing on Friday. They'll just be practicing in Ireland as their I don't know if their flight is left yet. If not, then it's about ready to.
All right. Bryan, what's your take on that injury report?
Pretty much what I wanted to hear, not the guys that were resting that have a knee or a hip or anything like that. But I do like the fact that you could possibly get your defensive backfield back together. And not only that, add on Jabril Peppers to Deshaun Elliott and Joey Porter Jr. I think that would be a really good thing. The addition of Chuck Clark's been really good. I'd like to see all of them together. I like what I'm seeing so far. When they were gone, I thought they held down the fort. You add those two back in. If I'm kind of reiterating what one of you guys said last week, that you would think, I feel more positive that you're going to see Deshaun Elliott first. But Joey Porter, if he can play tomorrow, then that'd be great to put him in there, because you're dealing with Addison and Jefferson and Hawkinson and guys like that.
Yeah, I mean, Jim Wexell on the Steel City Insider podcast, which you could hear that on our audio feed. It ran at 11 a.m. on Thursday. He spoke about how he's excited to see all the defensive backs back because he wants to see the disguise. We saw it all the time in training camp, how they really disguised coverages and they were really confusing people. Even Aaron Rodgers, he goes, I want to see that defense, and we haven't gotten to see it yet. So I think that's huge. I'm not too concerned with Jonnu Smith and Jalen Warren. I feel like those are just minor. I do feel like there was a little bit of a dust up on social media about Jalen Warren wearing a sleeve, and then he wasn't on the injury report, and then he shows up today. So it could be the Steelers covering their bases too. But Dave, what's your take on everything?
Yeah, I mean, these guys, I think Brian's right that correct me if I'm wrong, but I would assume that Joey Porter's hamstring would be a lot easier to re-injure in the game than necessarily a sprained knee.
If the knee is completely healed, yeah, you'll probably wear a brace of some kind.
Yeah.
And you'll be a little bit safer there. Yeah, the hamstring, a soft tissue injury, could always re-injure itself, yeah.
So that's why I would say, if you had to go one over the other, I would say Elliott over Porter. I would not be shocked if the Steelers said, hey, because of the travel, everything else, blah, 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 they don't play this week. But as of us speaking right now, it's still a possibility that they could. So we'll just wait and see. It's not the end of the world if they don't, but it's also could be a pretty good thing if they do.
I think they're both going to play, barring some, unless if last week, correct, Dave, Derek Hartman was a full participant on Friday, wasn't he?
That was the only day he was full.
So He was limited, full.
Yeah.
If they follow that same criteria, I think they play. Mm-hmm. If they're limited, I don't think they play. But if they're a full participant on Friday, so keep tabs on that, and we'll have
that that was Nick Herbig.
Yes.
He went limited, didn't play, and then came back the next week and then played the next week.
I think it was week 1 where he was limited all week and then missed.
Yep.
So keep an eye on SteelCurtainNetwork.com. We'll have Dave. We'll have that for you there. Okay, let's go to the other side of the docket, the Minnesota Vikings. What do they have going on injury-wise?
All right, just to clear the field, Christian Darrisaw was rest on Thursday, didn't practice, not surprised. Jonathan Allen was rest on Wednesday, but was back on Thursday. Okay, and J.J. McCarthy didn't practice either way because we know he's not the one who's playing. What's interesting is linebacker Andrew Van Ginkel, neck, didn't practice either day. All right, safety Joshua Metalis with a foot was limited Wednesday, but back to full on Thursday. Defensive lineman, I'm trying to compare both of them. Jalen Redmond with a hand was full both days, actually. That's kind of a waste of time. Got a couple people with concussions. Tackle Justin is at school, or I guess SKULE. And center Ryan Kelly, both of them were full both days. Donovan Jackson with a wrist, didn't practice on Wednesday or Thursday. But the one that I thought was interesting, I missed one. Tight end Ben Jurasik did not practice either day with a knee, but good old Javon Hargrave Wednesday did not practice with a chest injury and was back to limited on Thursday.
Interesting. Bryan, thoughts on the Vikings injury report?
Yeah, that's a pretty clean bill of health if everybody's back. And it doesn't seem like anybody is still out of practice. So that seems, besides Van Ginkel, this is a very healthy team. Van Ginkel is tough as an outside linebacker. I really like him in this capacity here. With him being out, that helps a little bit. But this team's loaded on offense and defense.
Dave, what were your reactions to the Vikings injury report?
Hargrave is interesting. I wanted to see if he practiced again today, which he did. Is limited. I assume he's going to play. But the linebacker, I just don't know enough about the Vikings with them being an NFC team to really know, unless it's someone who really. I mean, if you heard Justin Jefferson, you would understand. You would know that one. But when it comes to some of the important players, I'm not even sure if they're reserves or if they're starters with some of these guys. So I just necessarily don't know if it's not that big of a name. It's still early in the season. It's more about the Steelers than it is their opponent, and so I'm not going to stress about it one way or the other.
Good, Bryan. What did you want to say?
Good bit of starters there, because one, Donovan Jackson was their first-round pick, the rookie. He's the left guard, and I don't know. I think you said he was back. Matillis is a defensive back that starts.
Donovan Jackson.
Yes.
No, he didn't practice either day. I think he's the one who's ruled out. Right?
Okay. So Jackson is a starter. And so a lot of those guys that you did mention are starters as far as everything goes, but it looks like a good bit of them are back.
And then also don't forget that they do get Jordan Addison back, wide receiver, who comes off his suspension. So he'll be back in the lineup, which is going to make an interesting wrinkle and a challenge for them in terms of having another wide receiver option outside of Thielen's back there now, isn't he?
Yeah.
That's what I thought.
It's going to be somebody like Thielen that's going to end up tearing the Steelers. Doesn't that seem how it kind of goes? You have the Bengals would do that all the time. What was the one guy's last name that started with an I that ended up tearing them up the one time?
Isovich.
That you're like, wait a second, this is like their fourth or fifth option, and that's who you're going to let just crush you. So
yeah, you let the Russians beat you.
Yeah. Steelers get to turn. I mean, Steelers tried to do that week one. They turn around and beat it with with Ben Skoranek. So, yeah.
Benny Sko. All right, let's talk about some keys to victory here. Let's start on offense. Outside of playing hard, Dave, what would be two things? Outside of playing hard and winning in the trenches, what is a key to victory on offense for you?
Why are you taking away my obvious answer?
Because I want to hear you say something different.
Winning in the trench. No, honestly, I still think. There's two keys to offense. One is the offensive line has to be able to get the job done for you to really do anything. But the other thing, so I'll throw out something else. The key is you need to have, like I said, not gimmick, not cutesy, but you need to be creative enough in your offense that the defense doesn't know what's coming. You need to disguise what you're doing on offense. So that's scheme. So they really need to make sure that scheme-wise, you're not just saying, oh, here we go, we're going to telegraph what we're doing, and we're going to try to claim that we're just going to do it good enough that you can't stop it. Yeah. They know better with this defense because they know they're going to get that back from the defense. So what do you do if a defense is trying to disguise what they do? Don't live in your fears and get all and get all conservative and say, hopefully we can figure out what they're doing. No, confuse them with what you're doing. That's what they need to do. Whether or not they'll do it, we'll see.
All right. What about you, Bryan? Offensive key?
Running the ball is going to be very tough against this team, and you do need that to go ahead and set up the pass. But getting guys open, crisper routes throwing down the field, at least through the medium and long range passes. Mix a few more of those in too. That's how you're going to go ahead and beat this team. But they have that veteran Harrison Smith. They've got a tough defense, and everybody knows the Brian Flores factor. And I'm going to stop everybody right there on Sunday that if you're planning to say this on Sunday, we should have never let Flores go. Flores was never going to stay.
No, I would say that running the football, at least on early downs with success, is going to set up third and manageable and not third and long. Because the Minnesota Vikings, in terms of third down defense, well, they have one of the best third down defenses in the NFL. They're fifth. And the Steelers have the 20th ranked third down offense. So you want to try and minimize some of those numbers there. But I'm going to say, at what point, and this is going to hit a crescendo at some point, at what point is Aaron Rodgers going to start and coerce or convince Arthur Smith to abandon some of his ridiculously heavy personnel packages to get more speed on the field? So everyone's like, where's Roman Wilson? He's not a tight end. He's not playing that much. I think he had something like 10 snaps the last game or something really low. It was not a high
10,
snap.
Yeah.
Well, what about Calvin Austin? He's not on the field a lot if they're running 13 personnel with 3 tight ends. Because if you want separation, you got to get your fastest players on the field. That's not Pat Freiermuth. That's not Darnell Washington. And for the love of all things holy, stop running Jonnu Smith on these little gimmicky gadget routes that are basically along the line of scrimmage. We saw what he could do down the seam. It was a beautiful throw and catch against New England. Start utilizing your pass catchers in a way that's going to give Rodgers an early, key word, an early option with the football that's not just checking it down. So I'm not here to say I want to see him do an 8-step drop and get killed. I'm saying, when are they going to do? Aaron Rodgers does not like heavy personnel. He prefers 11. 1 tight end, 1 running back, the rest are receivers. Let's spread them out, and let's see what we can do. I don't know if maybe they've been doing this intentionally to kind of keep some stuff back. I don't know. I'd love to see him make some changes and see some switching it up, especially if they are talking about, meaning Brian Flores is talking about really loading the box, stopping the run early, attacking those larger personnel groupings. Dave, you look like you want to say something.
Yeah, this actually comes back to something Bryan said. I'm just curious. Why do you think Minnesota's tough with stopping the run? They're almost exactly the same as the Steelers. They've given up 130 yards per game so far through 3 games, where the Steelers have given up 139.3. I was really surprised to see that too. I'm like, oh, I assume they're good at stop. They're actually not very good at stopping the run.
Yeah.
It is hard to run on a team that once you get a guy like Jonathan Allen and Javon Hargrave a little more comfortable, I think they are very stout. And you also have Greenard in there, who is a linebacker that a lot of these guys, Van Ginkel's another one, stops the run very well. He's one of those downhill guys. So, I have always known Minnesota to be one of those teams to stop the run. I think the stronger they get together, because 3 of these guys are new. So when you go ahead and look at that, I think once they gel, they're going to go back to the ways of Flores and the way Minnesota's always been up front. They spent a lot of money to go ahead and stock that defensive trench.
So a very similar response that you might say with the Steelers. Well, they're giving up a lot of yards now, but just wait till they start getting it together a little bit.
What do
Absolutely.
they say? Get them while the getting's good, right? Isn't that what they say? So if they suck right now, let's run it. Let's get it going. That's fine.
Yeah.
Let's go defense. Dave, what do you think?
Defense. The obvious. You got to win the weighty downs. You get off the freaking field on third down, which also means you need to end third down with the punter running onto the field. Winning third down to a point where the offense stays out there is not good enough. You've got to win the down, not just to stop them short, but to stop them far enough back that they're not even going to be willing to go for it on a pretty high percentage play. Make them bring the punter out, actually get a stop on third down. The Steelers have been really good at the last 2 weeks of putting their opponent in third and long. They've just not got the job done on third down.
Well, and on top of that, I want to bring this up. I knew you were going to probably say third down, weighty downs. Minnesota's offense, the 27th ranked third down offense in the NFL, they're only converting 31.4% of their third downs. And then you throw in Pittsburgh has the tied for 28th worst third down defense. It's like the two bad opponents. Who's going to win out? We shall see. That's going to be interesting.
I don't have it in front of me, but I did see it somewhere that the Steelers, if they're not best in the NFL, they're one of the top ones in distance that their opponent has to go on third down.
Yeah.
Yet they're at the very bottom, towards the very bottom of giving up third downs.
No team has punted more in the NFL this season so far than the Minnesota Vikings, 16 times. Pittsburgh has punted 12 times. So something else to keep
think about.
Yeah. Bryan, defense, what do you think?
Well, you got to be able to stop the run, definitely. This is going to be a better running team when it comes to the traditional running backs, even though they lost Aaron Jones. You've got Brian O'Neill, Darisaw. You have a very good Ryan Kelly is another one. You've got a very good offensive line that is a very, my gosh, there's some Pro Bowlers and all pros on that offensive line. So they are going to clear some holes, but you also have to get to Wentz. And this is where TJ Watt, Derek Hartman, whoever you have going, even Herbig, you've got to get to Wentz and hit him hard. I know I said that last week about Drake May, but you really got to hit him, maybe get him to put a few balls on the ground as well. That's going to help. I don't think this week you're going to need 5 turnovers to win the game, but if you can get him to put the ball on the ground, that's going to help this team out immensely.
Well, that was what I was going to say is they got to get to Wentz. Last week, Carson Wentz was sacked 3 times by the Cincinnati defense. On the season, now mind you, it's not all Carson Wentz there. The Minnesota Vikings have surrendered 12 sacks. That's tied for the second most in the league. And so Darisaw's back. That's a big get. But then they also they're missing a guard. When I hear that there's a guard that is a starter, I don't care if he's a rookie or not, and he is not in the lineup, my mind goes to Cam Hayward should be ready to dominate. And so this is where you get that interior pressure. Nick Herbig, I am convinced at this point in my life that he is a better option, or at least has deserved more play time even when Alex Highsmith is healthy. Yeah. He is really good. And I don't think there's no way the Steelers can watch it and not say, we got to get this guy on the field more. So yeah, I agree. Get to Carson Wentz. If they're going to have it stand a chance, you got to rattle him. You got to make him hold onto the football a little bit longer. That's going to come into the secondary. And so there you have it. All right. Those are good. I dive into more of my keys tomorrow on Let's Ride podcast if you want to listen to that tomorrow, Friday morning. But we're going to take a quick break. When we come back after that break, we're going to dive into over-under, give our predictions, do some trivia, some bad memories, and we're going to get out of here. If you're watching live on any platform, we're not going anywhere. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. All right, Steeler fans, we are back. Second half, we have a super chat here. Steeler fan 69 gave us $5. Says not for Dave. Uh-oh. He said 6 for me.
That wasn't supposed to be 6.
Okay. 6 for me is like an Italian opera. For a while, I do not know what the hell is going on, and I know it's over when the fat lady's singing. Good one. Thank you.
You hadn't heard that before?
I have not. He always provides the humor for the podcast. He also does it for my mailbag segment on the Wednesday Let's Ride podcast. So thank you for the tip. We do appreciate it. All right. Over under. Dave, why don't you update from last week?
The update from last week. All right. We got some separation. Jeff, you had a tough one last week.
Yeah, I took some of my flyers.
Realize that. Yep. Jeff, you only had 2. Bryan got 4, and I got 5 out of the 6. The only one I did not get was I took the under on TJ Watt sacks. If it wasn't for that, I'd have been perfect. So that separates us out a little bit. I'm in the lead with 14. Bryan has 12. Jeff has 10. When it came to the picking of the actual game, we all picked the Steelers to cover, which they did. But we all took the over, and it ended up being the under. So that was 1 point. You guys both hold a 1-point lead there over me.
All right. Okay, so let's start off the upcoming Week 4 Minnesota Vikings over-under game. We're going to start with Pittsburgh Steelers team rushing yards. Last week we tried 105.5. We're going down to 90.5 this week. 90.5. Bryan, over under.
You said this
go
was
ahead.
Minnesota's?
This is week 4. No, this is Pittsburgh's team rushing.
Okay, I'm sorry. I was still trying to write. Gotcha.
I'm going to go ahead and say let's take the over on this one. I think they finally start to move some stuff, even though I still maintain it's going to be a tough team to run on. But I really think that you're going to see something on the outside from somebody, and my little prediction here is it might be Caleb Johnson.
Oh. All right, Dave, over under.
I'm going to actually take the over on that one just because I'm not sold on Minnesota's run defense. And still, I mean, the Steelers can get 95 yards, and Minnesota's going to take that as, hey, we'll take that all the time. So it could be the Steelers improve on their offense and the Vikings improve on their defense, and both teams are kind of satisfied with it. So that's why I'm going to take the over for that one.
I'm going to take the over slightly, and I'm going to make a prediction here. There's going to be a reverse. There's going to be a reverse to try and catch Brian Flores off guard with his aggressive mindset. I don't know who it'll be. If it's DK Metcalf, watch out. But I think that's going to put him over. I think they're going to have a big
Calvin
run.
Austin?
Whew. Yeah, Calvin Austin would be fun too. So, all right, let's go to the next one. Jaylen Warren targets. So this is just targets to Jaylen Warren. We have the number of 4.5. He was at 6 last week. Bryan, over under.
Yeah, I'm going to go slightly under. No, wait, you said 4.5?
Correct.
You know, I'm still going to go with the under.
Oh, you made me erase it, then write it again. Come on.
You guys are going over, so I'm going to go under.
All right, Dave.
Heck yeah, I'm going over. I mean, I hit my 3-leg parlay last week because I went all Jaylen Warren. I went 4 targets. I went 16 carries. I went 25 receiving yards. He had all of those. So for this one, I think he's going to be targeted in the passing game, especially with that being targets and not necessarily receptions.
The only thing is that we're doing this without knowing the Friday injury report. You know, is the knee an issue? Is he going to see less playing time? I'm going to say that he's fine, and I'm always going to listen to Aaron Rodgers. I listen to his availability every week, and he's so glowingly spoke about his receiving ability. So I'm going to take the over. I think he has at least 5. So, all right, let's go to Aaron Rodgers' passing yards. He did not do well last week, but we have 205.5 this week. Bryan, over or under?
Definitely taking the over on this one. I really feel that they're going to make a concerted effort to throw, but I also feel that there's a possibility that they're down in this game in the fourth quarter a little bit.
Okay, Dave?
Yeah, I think it all goes down to what is the game in the fourth quarter. And 205.5 used to be what you would, 210 yards, you would expect that to be when you were running the ball a lot.
Yeah.
Because think about that. The Steelers rush for 91 and throw for 206. They're still not at 300 yards. So to me, on that one, I'm going to take the over.
I'm going to go over as well. All right, next one, the defensive takeaways. They had 5 last week. We're only going to have the line at 1.5. These things come in bunches. Bryan, over or under?
I'm good with 2 on this one. So let's go over.
Okay. Dave?
Yeah, 1.5. I'm going to take the over.
I'm going to go under. I think it's 1. Minnesota actually hasn't turned the ball over a ton this season, so I'm going to go with 1. All right, the next Pittsburgh Steelers sacking the quarterback. 2.5 is the line. Bryan, over or under?
I'm actually going to go under here. I'm thinking 2, but I think this is going to be a tougher offensive line to penetrate.
Okay, Dave?
I'm going to go over. I think they can get at least 3.
I'm thinking over as well. I think they get to around 3. Carson Wentz sacked 3 times last week, and that was in a game where they really didn't have to throw the ball that much. So keep that in the back of your mind. Last one, DK Metcalf receiving yards. He's been disappointing in this statistical category so far. I've got it at 45.5. Bryan, over or under?
Go West. So let's go ahead and take the over. I think he's got to break out one of these days. And I want to go ahead and preface it with, I do not think DK Metcalf has been a disappointment. I just don't think the opportunities have been there. So he's going to break out.
Okay. Dave?
Yeah, I don't know that he's ready to break out. I think he needs another receiver to break out in order for him to turn around and break out. But 45.5, I will take the over on that because I could even see him, getting 48 or 52 or something like that. And you maybe go over on every single one of these.
I'm going over, but mainly because I don't think he can have another 30-yard performance like he had, or 32 or whatever he had last week. It was not good. So there you have it. There's the over-under for this week. Let's talk about predictions. The spread in this game has changed dramatically. I would say that. Just a couple weeks ago, the Steelers were actually giving 1.5 points on the road in Dublin, even though it's their home game. Now the Steelers are getting 2.5 points with a total of 40.5. Yikes. Bryan, how do you see this playing out? What's your score prediction?
All right. I went into the show. I was going to be taking the Minnesota Vikings the entire way, but there's something about the memory of Ambassador Rooney. There's something about the magic of Croke Park. There's something about, not that I know about any magic there, with the Gaelic Association that plays there. What I'm going to go ahead and say is I just feel like this is a whole lot different than England. I feel that this is a game that the entire city of Pittsburgh, the entire country of Ireland has been waiting for, and it's fitting that the Pittsburgh Steelers find a way to win this game. I think last week was a little bit of an aberration for the Minnesota Vikings. In fact, remember Isaiah Rodgers went absolutely crazy on defense and special teams for them. So that's just a situation where, they caught lightning in a bottle last week, and it was the Cincinnati Bengals. I think the Steelers struggle mightily in this game, but come back at the end. They bookended it last week. I have a feeling that they're going to continue to be strong at the beginning of the game. I think they're going to be strong at the end of the game, and it's going to be a comeback win. Let's go 27-24.
Oh, okay. I like it. He's taking the over, and he's taking the points. All right, Dave.
I feel a lot like Bryan, where it's like I did, because I'm the one who brought up. Come on, they did this against the Bengals last week, and now they think that they're all great and everything. So I was all ready to be getting up. Oh, it's Ireland, it's the hype train. But there's one problem that I realize I keep pointing it out. Why in the world would I go against it? The Pittsburgh Steelers suck in week 4. End of story. They suck in week 4, especially when they win in week 3. The Steelers have not won in both week 3 and week 4 since 2004, since Ben Roethlisberger's rookie season. They have not been 2-0 over weeks 3 and 4 since then. And I know people would say 2020, they had a bye in week 4. So that's part of the reason that was there. So because of that, I'm just like, how can I trust that they're actually going to do anything other than that? So therefore, I am taking the Minnesota Vikings in this one because guess what? I would rather be disappointed with my pick being wrong because the Steelers are winning rather than the other way around. So I really hope I'm not right here, but I've got the Vikings winning this one pretty handily, 27-17.
Okay. I think if there's a way to break that curse, so to speak, it would be to do something drastically different. Like, I don't know, say play a game in Ireland.
I've been saying that too, but I also thought, last year will be different, and it wasn't. Yeah. So until they show me, I'm not going to go with it. But yeah, you're right, Jeff.
Last week's week 4 was in Indy, wasn't it? Wasn't that the Indianapolis Colts?
Yep.
Okay. So I think the Steelers buck that trend. They buck the trend in Foxborough, which they don't do that often. But last week, I think they bucked this trend this week as well. I think this team is close. We'll put it that way. The players have said it. You follow people on social media that watch the film. Like these guys are literally like one block away from having some really big runs, from really doing some really great things. I think the Steelers win this one in a comeback fashion, like Bryan said, but I've got the final score, Pittsburgh 27, Minnesota 20. So I'm taking the over. I'm getting the points. That's fine. I'm going to take the Steelers there. I think that Minnesota might be a little too high on themselves right now, and I think the Steelers are a team that's winning, but they don't feel great about it, so they're going to have a little chip on their shoulder. I do like the fact, too, that they both have to travel at the same time. When the Minnesota Vikings were going to go early, I had a horrible feeling. They have to travel at the same time, even playing field there. Okay, it makes me feel I'll say 27-20 Pittsburgh. There you go.
And we all picked 27.
Hey, I don't think – I mean, it could be over 30. Who knows?
Yeah.
We'll see. Okay, bad memories. Where are you going to go with this one, Bryan?
Well, I was going to go Brett Favre in this game in 2009, and I was so close to doing it. Then I did my traditional pivot in the middle of the show, and I thought about something special. I thought about a team that needed to win 4 games in a row to just try to sniff the playoffs, and they did. It's 2005, and they were in Minnesota for this game. The Pittsburgh Steelers just got off that snowplow game against the Chicago Bears, and then had to go ahead and play the Vikings. And that's always a tough place to play. They went there and won the game 18-3. They only had 1 touchdown. Jeff Reed had the rest of the scoring, with the exception of a safety in there. But it's the game that after I watched, I said, this is a team that could go far now. I'm not worried about winning the next couple games. This team is special. I'm hoping that continues this week against the Vikings, but that's my bad memories. 18-3, December 18th, 2005.
It's funny you brought up the 2009 game with Favre. I saw a highlight on Twitter today with Lamar Woodley when they fumbled a strip sack.
Yeah.
And Lamar Woodley picks it up and returns it for a touchdown. But that was the game that Adrian Peterson hit William Gay in the open field. And I've never seen a guy get trucked like that in the NFL in a long time. I mean, it was bad. William Gay went up to break. He broke down. They gave us textbook, and just Adrian Peterson was a a animal back then for sure.
That was a wild game too, Jeff.
That was a wild game.
But it was 2009, and I just like how special 2005 was.
I agree. Not going to debate that at all. All right, let's go to trivia, Dave. What's up?
All right. Well, first of all, I've got a great trivia question for Bryan. This seems like this one's, and then I have one for Jeff. This seems like it's right up your alley, Bryan. All right. There was a quarterback that was drafted, because you guys know I've been doing I like to do players that play for both teams. Drafted in the 6th round by the Minnesota Vikings, played for them for 2 years, then went to Pittsburgh, played for the Steelers for 2 years, went on to play for 5 more teams, win a Super Bowl, not necessarily as a starter, just not saying it there, but was also a Pro Bowler in one season. Who was that quarterback?
Steve Bono.
That would be Steve Bono. I knew that would be right up your alley. He did not start.
I don't even know who the hell that is.
Steve Bono?
Oh,
Yes.
Really?
Bono was good in the early night. Well, Jeff's young.
Dude, he went 13-3 with the Chiefs and made the Pro Bowl in 1995, the year the Steelers went to the Super Bowl.
And he was with the 49ers.
That's where he went. I mean, that's the year he won a Super Bowl, was with the 49ers.
I was 12. I was pretty busy with other things.
Well, I mean, when he played for the
those
Steelers
pick
when he played for the Steelers in 87 and 88, he started 3 games and went 2-1.
Well, those were the scab games too.
Yeah. But yeah, that was a good one. That was a good one for Bryan. Okay. Jeff, for a player that played for both teams, what running back appeared in more than 50 games for each franchise whose name rhymes with Schmoweldy Schmore?
I was going to be able to tell you that without you saying it rhyming.
What do you think, Jeff? Jeff is gone. He's
I'm going to say that Jeff would have known that.
Oh, no, wait, it's Jeff back.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you now.
Okay. I didn't hear anything you said. I had to leave and come back.
You didn't hear the question?
No.
I get to do it again. All right. What running back played for both Pittsburgh and Minnesota, more than 50 games for each franchise, and whose name rhymes with Schmoweldy Schmore?
I don't know. Dick Shiner?
No.
He shined for both.
Okay, go ahead, Jeff, because that's not really the question.
I'm sorry.
I was just doing that to be funny.
Buzz Nutter.
Okay. So bringing up Schmoweldy Moore, who reminds me of someone who didn't just play for both teams, was actually successful was significant for both teams. There's actually 4 players who started 60 games or more for both the Steelers and the Vikings. So think of players that were good for both teams.
I have 2.
Go ahead, Bryan.
Okay.
Here are your 2.
Dwayne Washington.
There you go. Dwayne Washington played 96 games for the Steelers and 63 games for the Vikings.
The marvelous Mike Mularkey.
Mike Mularkey? I don't have Mike Mularkey.
Well, I don't know how many games he played for the
Oh, there he
Vikings.
is. Oh, he only played 39 games for the Steelers. That's why.
Is that it?
That's all he played for the Steelers. Yep.
Wow, it seems like he was there so much longer.
Yeah.
Ha.
He was 89 through 91, but only 39 games.
Todd Stussy?
That was Todd Stussy.
That's someone who played a lot for the Steelers. I don't even know if I have him.
He was in like the in the 90s, the late 90s, he was an offensive lineman, a starting offensive lineman.
I'm trying to find him on here at all where he would be.
Live chat. I don't have the live chat on, but have you heard of Todd Stussy? Come on.
How do you spell his last name?
Steuussie.
Okay. I'm looking for him. He's not listed here at all as playing for both teams.
Huh. Well, he came from the Vikings. Let me think.
So you've got one in Dwayne Washington. I'll give you Jeff a hint. Think special teams.
I don't know. I've honestly, I was thinking about this today because I knew this is where you've been going every week. I can't think of any players that played with the Vikings and Steelers, so I'm basically done.
Okay.
Special teams.
He's number one in your hearts. Who was the last player to wear number one for the Steelers?
Gary Anderson.
Gary Anderson!
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. He played 197 games for the Steelers and 78 for the Vikings. Remember, he was perfect that season until it was a kick to send him to the Super Bowl when he missed it.
Sorry, I'm looking up Todd Stussy.
Okay, so you've got Dwayne Washington, you got Gary Anderson. I'm going to give you one that you probably wouldn't have thought of just because it's not like he was great, but he did play more than 60 games for both. He only played for these two teams. He was a punter for the Steelers in the 80s and the Vikings in the 90s.
Mark Royals or Harry Newsom?
Harry Newsom. There you go.
Oh, by the way, Todd Stussy never played for the Steelers.
There's
There's an offensive lineman that played for both of them.
Nice.
I will tell you the last one. I'm trying to make sure. I've heard the story so many times. I got to make sure I get it right. I think he's ridden in a car with one Bryan Anthony Davis.
Veron Haynes?
No, then maybe
Frenchie
he didn't ride in the
Fuqua?
car. But it was somebody that told you that it was a big mistake to want to leave the Steelers.
Oh, he didn't ride in a car with me, but yeah, they traded him in April of 1989. It was Mike Merriweather.
So yeah, Mike Merriweather was with the Steelers for 85 games, and then the Vikings for 63 games.
Yeah,
But he was somewhere else in between, right? When they traded him, they didn't trade him straight to the Vikings, right?
No, they traded him straight to the Vikings, and they got that.
Oh, that's right. He didn't play at all in '88. That's what it was, and
Yeah.
then he went straight to the Vikings.
He held out, and it was he. You know how I always talk about agents convincing him? He was like, "Man, I shouldn't have listened to my agent."
Yeah, because when he played for other teams, that was after the Vikings. So yeah, you're right. So
Great
Yep, those are
player.
the four.
Also, can I throw in another guy? He did not play. Two more guys that played for both teams, but did not play that many games. Bubby Brister is one of them, and may he rest in peace, Craig Wolf.
Craig Wolfley. Yeah, Wolfley played a ton for the Steelers, but only played 24 games for the Vikings.
And his book is coming out that Jim Wexell helped him co-write before he passed.
Oh.
So Jim was talking about that on Steel City Insider. You can listen to that as well.
Yeah.
So, all right, good trivia. Let's do some final thoughts. Bryan, I'll let you go first.
All right. Well, this is going to be a very special game because it is Ireland and because the Rooneys, how you had an ambassador in Ambassador Rooney all those years in the 2000s and 2010s. And it's just special there. In fact, the Vikings right now I almost feel like they're getting the shaft because nobody's really talking about the Vikings over there. They're talking about the Steelers. That could blow up in the Steelers' face very easily. But if they embrace the history of this franchise, and that's something that they absolutely do. Mike Tomlin's been talking about Ambassador Rooney all week long. And that's something that you feel if they do, that could be a lot of pride in this game. As far as something Jeff said earlier, he mentioned chip on the shoulder. I'm going to take it to a higher height here. When you hear guys like Patrick Queen talk, they are absolutely ticked off. They're angry. The defense is angry. And when that happens, they've got to unleash sometimes. And you have those games that they go ahead and go off on you and you didn't expect it. So I'm going to go back in time again, which I could have done this one too, to 1989. They lost 2 games, 92-10 was the first 2 games of the season. And the Steelers aren't in that boat. But they came in with a team that was in the NFC Championship game the week before. They were at home at Three River Stadium, and they absolutely crushed the Minnesota Vikings. And that was not a very good Steeler team at that time. This really feels like you have, like Jeff said, a team coming out on a high, and the Pittsburgh Steelers have an opportunity to send them back to their hotel for another week in the United Kingdom to stay on that low.
All right, Dave, final thoughts.
Yeah, this is another one of those weird scenarios where you don't really know which way to go because the teams are playing overseas. And as Dave Stefano said on Jeff's show on Wednesday, the Vikings have never lost an international game, at least according to Dave. I still have not confirmed that one myself, but you could look at that and you're like, it's a different fact. It's like when teams play on Thursday night. It's like sometimes the better team doesn't necessarily win because of other factors in the short week and the traveling. And that's kind of what's going on here. I am saying I don't want to get on the post-game show, which will be nice having it going, sometime between 12 and 1 around there, whenever the things finish up, and be saying, man, oh man, I should have known better for the Steelers in week 4. So that's why I picked against them. But boy, I can't wait to be wrong because I feel like the Steelers can go and get this done. I do also want to say one other thing for those of you that may not have noticed. If you're looking at us here on the audio, not the audio side, the video side, I've got my flag back, my Steel Curtain Network. That's a new one because the one that was hanging up there for so long, as of today, is officially in the hands of Gordon Bent, who designed that logo for us, who will be in Croke Park on Sunday morning for us in the closed end of the stadium behind the uprights. Anytime there's a field goal or extra point there, see if you can find the SCN flag being waved. Can't wait to look for that on Sunday. I don't know if people listened to Pittsburgh Standard Time this morning, but I had to basically call myself out for my closing remarks on this show last week and how when exactly what I wanted happened, I was not happy about it in the post-game show. Because I said, you know what? The Steelers need to find a way to win. They're not going to improve on everything. They're just going to improve on some things, which I do believe that they did last week. But it's not reasonable to expect them to fix everything in 1 week. And then I was upset with what they didn't fix. But this is another week that you need to have the things that you were better at last week, stay better at them, and get better in other areas. If they do that, they can very well win this game. Looking forward to, I guess, getting up more bright and early for me on a Sunday. I'm not used to getting up so early because I gotta be ready for that injury report at 8 a.m., which will be the inactives at 8 a.m. because that's not usually when I'm doing that. But really looking forward to this little bit different feel of a game. I'm excited about it. And for those of you that might actually be going to the game, enjoy this historic moment.
Absolutely. Make sure you check out Steel Curtain Network, all of our podcasts, including those that are audio only. Wherever you get your podcasts, there's Steel Curtain Network. Also, steelcurtainnetwork.com. Highly encourage you to check out that website. Things are going to be a little truncated this week with the early kickoff, but that's fine. We're still going to get you all the articles no matter what. But that does it for this week's Steelers preview. We will still be back next week, even though the team's on a bye, to talk all things Steelers, the AFC North. Dave, why don't you send us out?
Hey.
See you next week on the Steelers preview.
Network. Get it.
Everybody else gets a little tight.